Mangwanani Malelepo, Vukenjani, Krekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning. The news and current affairs show that remains your portal into all of Africa's potent stories. Today, on this day, Namibia commemorates the Kasinga Massacre, marking May 4, 1978, when more than 600 people, many of them women and children, were killed during an attack on a SWAPO camp in southern Angola. Namibians and Africans paused to honor the lives lost, reflecting on the scale of the tragedy and the lives cut short on that day. And these are some of the stories we'll be looking at from broader Africa. U.S. faults Zambia over missed engagement as $1 billion health agreement remains unsigned. Nigeria calls in South African envoy following attacks on its citizens. U.S. targets Kabila with sanctions over alleged support for M23 rebels. Taiwan leader reaches Eswatini after travel disruption linked to China pressure, and Ramaphosa of South Africa Zimbabwe's visit reframed as working engagement amid bilateral focus. And part of the reason it was framed as a working engagement is because initially it looked like a private engagement with Mnangagwa at Pikabe Farm. Now, Mike Suchila will also join us, delivering the Zambia report on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, OneUp2.com, Network Media Hub, and ntvafrica.my.na. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
In our top stories, the United States has criticized Zambia for failing to engage on a new health aid agreement covering more than $1 billion in funding after repeated outreach efforts went unanswered and an April 30 deadline passed without a deal. Outgoing U.S. Ambassador Michael Gonzalez said the memorandum of understanding was not finalized, leaving funding to continue on an ad hoc basis without a clear implementation plan for programs addressing HIV, malaria, maternal and child health, and disease preparedness. Gonzalez stated the funding should have begun this month instead of remaining stalled. Health advocates have raised concerns linking the deal to mining access and potential data sharing risks, allegations Gonzalez rejected as false. Zambia's presidential spokesperson Clayson Hamasaka said the government remains open to dialogue through diplomatic channels. The delay follows an earlier U.S. aid cut tied to the theft of donated medicines, highlighting governance concerns. The agreement also requires about $340 million in co-financing from Zambia. Gonzalez added there had been effectively no substantive engagement since January, with calls unanswered and meetings cancelled. Now, we know Mike Suchila will certainly have more detail to flesh out that story once he joins us for the Zambia report after the weather. But let's continue. Nigeria has summoned South Africa's acting High Commissioner over a series of recent attacks on foreigners, expressing profound concern that the incidents could affect relations between the two countries. A meeting scheduled for this week will address marches by anti-immigrant groups and documented cases of mistreatment of Nigerian citizens and attacks on their businesses. Local media reports that at least 2 Nigerians and 4 Ethiopians have been killed in recent weeks, alongside attacks on other African nationals. South Africa, as the continent's most industrialized economy, has long attracted migrants seeking work. President Cyril Ramaphosa has condemned the violence while urging foreigners to respect local laws. During Freedom Day commemorations marking the 1994 democratic elections, he reminded citizens of the support African nations gave during the anti-apartheid struggle. However, some South Africans accuse migrants of illegal presence, job competition, and links to crime. Anti-immigrant groups have reportedly demanded identity papers outside hospitals and schools. Foreign-owned businesses were urged to close during marches. Individuals affected expressed fear and disappointment, questioning safety within Africa itself. And now the United States makes another feature, this time imposing sweeping sanctions on former Democratic Republic of Congo President Joseph Kabila, accusing him of supporting the M23 rebel group. Washington alleges Kabila provided financial backing, encouraged defections from the Congolese army, and sought to launch attacks from outside the country. Kabila, who ruled for 18 years from 2001, rejected the claims as unjustified and politically motivated. The sanctions freeze his assets in the United States and prohibit American individuals and companies from engaging in business with him, with penalties for violations. The measures form part of broader efforts to support a peace deal between DR Congo and Rwanda. The U.S. has also accused Rwanda of backing M23, a claim Kigali denies, stating its actions are defensive. Congolese authorities welcomed the sanctions as a step toward accountability, while Kabila's office argued they reflect Kinshasa's narrative. Eastern DR Congo remains affected by prolonged conflict involving multiple armed groups. The sanctions aim to influence behavior and reinforce transparency in mineral supply chains tied to regional economic agreements. Now, Taiwanese President Lang Ching-te has arrived. He arrived in Eswatini, the island's only diplomatic ally in Africa, following disruptions to his planned travel route that his government attributed to Chinese pressure. The visit came after Seychelles, Mauritius, and Madagascar revoked flight permits for his aircraft to cross their airspace. Lai said the trip was made possible through careful arrangements by diplomatic and security teams. He was welcomed by Eswatini Prime Minister Rasool Dlamini and Taiwan's delegation, including Foreign Minister Lin Xiaolong and National Security Council Advisor Alex Huang. China criticized the visit, describing it as a stowaway-style farce, reiterating its position that Taiwan has no right to state relations. Lai emphasized Taiwan's commitment to global engagement despite external pressure and praised Eswatini for maintaining ties. His schedule includes talks with King Mswati III and the signing of a customs agreement. Eswatini remains one of only 12 states recognizing Taiwan. Following the visit, China urged Eswatini to reconsider its stance and scrapped tariffs for all African countries except Eswatini. And interestingly, the Taiwanese have a huge issue with China's approach or lack thereof to democracy. However, King Mswati has been in power for decades, and democracy is not an option in Eswatini. A little irony there. Now, in the last of our top stories, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa visited Zimbabwe on Sunday, the 3rd, where he met President Emmerson Mnangagwa at Prikabe Farm in Kwekwe, Midlands Province. The trip was initially reported as private and unannounced by both governments and drew attention due to the presence of Mnangagwa's business allies Wickno Chivayo and Kudakwashe Tagwire. Following speculation, the South African presidency later described the engagement as a working visit focused on mutual and bilateral interests, including strengthening economic cooperation, trade, and investment. South Africa exported approximately $4.3 billion worth of goods to Zimbabwe in 2025, mainly agricultural products and machinery. The leaders toured the farm, showcasing modern commercial agriculture, livestock, and irrigation systems aligned with his Vision 2030 goals. Ramaphosa and Mnangagwa traveled by military helicopter during parts of the visit. No joint communique has been released, but both sides emphasized ongoing SADC collaboration and regional engagement. And of course, what a lot of people had assumed would be the subject matter would be the very recent and ongoing anti-immigrant marches, which have devolved into xenophobic, or more aptly named Afrophobic attacks. And Zimbabweans are a part of that issue with South Africans, and one would have expected the two presidents to broach that subject considering its current urgency. However, those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, Mike Sichula will join us as he is in Zambia, Lusaka, to deliver the Zambia report. But prior to that, here is the weather. In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week we bring you the TikTok of the week, because sometimes the revolution is vertical, and the heartwarming moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take. We sincerely apologize for not having our weather update. We had a little bit of a technical issue. We will certainly let you know of the weather tomorrow, but fortunately, this show is called Africa Good Morning, and it is made for Africans by Africans, and the African way to scan the weather is to walk outside. Now, we're going to walk outside, but not literally. We're going to swing over to Zambia as Mike Sichula now delivers the Zambia report. Mike Udibwanji.
Muli Bueno, Mulibwanji, Africa, good morning to our dear viewers. Thank you very much for having me.
Bueno, but someone who is not bueno, Mike, is the outgoing U.S. Ambassador Michael Gonzalez, who has a lot to say about Zambia, including perceived corruption, what he considers weak health systems, and the fact that he has, for lack of better terms, been blue-ticked by State House.
Wow. In a stunning farewell reception that he held at his American embassy residence, Mr. Gonzalez came out ballistic, and he hit hard the Zambian government of numerous things. For instance, he accused the Zambian government of appointing the director of anti-corruption, who herself was also under investigations, but he wondered why the government of the UPND administration went ahead to appoint her to head the anti-corruption when she was under investigations. Then he also complained of lack of failure by the Zambian government to arrest individuals that were named in their reports that they submitted to the Zambian government of having stolen American medicine that was donated to the Zambian government. He asked why out of the 2,000 pharmacies that were identified by the U.S. government of having been selling medicine that the American citizens donated to Zambia, those individuals were not arrested. So he said Zambia does not need aid because the resources that Zambia has is something that if readers were truly patriotic, they could use such resources to develop the Zambia. So he said a number of things, like I've said. So he spoke of lack of accountability, weak accountability systems, corruption as the major issues. So it was something that he said, I have been talking to the Zambian government, but there's no action. Whenever we report to the Zambian government, there's no action in terms of arresting people that are abusing state resources, worse off resources that are donated to the Zambian government by American citizens. And he said that he was representing Donald Trump, as we all know that he was Zambian American ambassador to Zambia. Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Murambo Haimbe, has not commented much on this matter. He only said that the Zambian government wants to establish as to whether Mr. Gonzalez was speaking in a personal capacity or he was truly representing the American government. That is all that has come out from the Zambian Foreign Affairs Minister, and we have not heard much. But the number of things that the ambassador raised has attracted condemnation from civil society organizations and the oppositional political parties. As you all know, that Zambia is heading to the elections on the 13th of August 2026. So this has been a topic of discussion following his address to Zambia.
Now, of course, Mike, your next story is related. Talk us through the $1 billion health deal, which Zambia is being very careful about, if not standoffish.
Yes, so it was obviously that Mr. Gonzalez was going to speak to this matter, considering that what we've been hearing and seeing has just been on social media platform without the Zambian government clearly responding to the allegations that the American government wants Zambia's rare earth minerals in exchange for aid. So Mr. Gonzalez, when he spoke during his farewell reception, he did indicate that the United States government has dismissed the allegations of wanting aid, wanting minerals in exchange for aid as false and disgusting reports. That is what Mr. Gonzalez stated. He said those are not true, because in as far as Zambians are saying whatever they are saying in terms of aid in exchange for minerals, the United States government is currently paying salaries for over 2,300 health workers. And also the United States has continued to provide aid to the health sector in terms of HIV and tuberculosis diseases. So he said that is not true. In short, it was not true that the U.S. is aid in order to acquire precious minerals in Zambia. So that is the state of affairs. As you see in that picture, President Hakainde Hichilema was opening one of the American-owned mine, Mungomba copper mine on the copper belt. It is one of the biggest. It is poised to be one of the biggest copper mines in this country. He was commissioning that plant last week. So the discussions between Zambia and USA in terms of businesses seems to be in twofold. On the other hand, the government is commissioning. On the other hand, the American ambassador is complaining that Zambia is failing to implement strict systems to curb abuse of state authority, especially those that are donated.
Now, Mike, it seems like Zambians are getting impatient or worn out with the ongoing squabble over the burial of former President Edgar Lungu, who died in June last year, yet to be buried. People are asking for a resolution, Mike.
Quite frankly so, because the latest we have heard from the Zambian government is when President Hakainde Hichilema had a special interview with one of the local Catholic-owned radio stations, Radio Ichengelo, last week. He did indicate that Mr. Lungu should be buried in Zambia as a custom to the past where 5 Zambian former presidents have been buried at the Embassy Park. He emphasized on that point that Mr. Lungu should be buried. But there was no time frame that was given to say as to when this is going to be done. However, the president did not state to the nation as to whether he was going to stay back, because this has been one of the contentious issues by the Lungu family, saying that the wishes of the late President Lungu was that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema should stay back from the funeral. But when he held that interview, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema did not clearly state that he was going to agree and abide by that wish. But he stated that as a former commander-in-chief, he must be offered a dignified burial in Zambia. So this is contrary to what was issued earlier by the Attorney General, who said that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is willing to stay back from the funeral. So we are yet to see what is going to happen. Then on the family, the Lungu family, we have not heard much from them after the agreement that the Zambian government and the Lungu family had in South Africa in a court in terms of where the body will be placed and what should be done if someone wants to see the body. We have not heard much from them. But the general appeal from Zambians and many stakeholders is that during this period where the two parties have agreed on something, why don't they go and discuss these matters outside court so that maybe contentious issues can be resolved so that Mr. Lungu can be buried before the Zambia goes to the elections on 13th August.
All right, Mike. Yeah, thank you for breaking that down, and we'll certainly be looking forward to any and all updates with regards to the Edgar Lungu burial dispute. Now, in the last of your stories, Mike, there was some high energy and high profiles in Zambia.
Yes, indeed. We had an electric performances by, as you can see in the picture, that is Afrobeat Nigerian musician Davido with one of the YouTube person from Ghana. Then Zambia also hosted during the same event, during the May Day celebrations, 1st of May, we also had the US rapper Rick Ross. Then there was also Congo Rumba star Koffi Olomide in what was dubbed as the Royal Networking event. As you can see, an electric atmosphere there. Those are dancers and performers from South Africa doing their thing on the stage. This was held at the Sierra Resort Bonanza in the outskirts of Lusaka. Quite a very beautiful place. There's a golf field there, and the environment is just something that is very nice when you come to Zambia, Sierra Bonanza. So this is where the event was held. They called it the Royal Networking event, and there were high-profile people that gathered there. Then the following day, Davido was performing at the showgrounds. So it's something that was attracted a good turnout in terms of sellout of the tickets, and people who are in the entertainment industry appreciated and thanked the organizers for bringing big stars to Zambia in one room. So we can end with the video of Rick Ross doing his thing there in one of his big beats that he has produced.
Whoa.